Hey everyone, another edition of Off the Top Rope here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. We're kind of looking back here at AEW Dynamite. Oh my God. Another week, another boring ass show that wasn't very good. Nothing jumped out. Not a lot of story was advanced. Just a bunch of matches. And I've come to this conclusion. I said earlier on the channel you could go watch it. I think honestly, in terms of the fan base and in terms of the way AEW was run, it's a lot like MAGA. It's a lot like, the political movement. And it's weird to say that, but I will say this. Upon watching this and seeing the card that was announced ahead of time, which I talked about on that video that I just referenced, AEW, they're not even trying. They're not even trying. And what does that tell your audience? They don't care. They really don't care. Because let's go chronologically here, because there was a lot that jumped out to me that just basically told me, yeah, we really just don't care. Brian Cage faces Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay wins the match. At the end of the match, Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega get beaten down by the Don Callis family. I swear to God, I was ready for this thing to go to break. Konosuke Takeshita's music hit twice, and they finally ended this thing mercifully, and it was over. It didn't do anything to advance the story going into Brisbane. It's basically, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. We're not even having the will they or they won't they. They kiboshed that immediately, which is weird because you would want to build some semblance of the story. It's just Will Ospreay is like now defending Kenny Omega as his abdomen gets attacked because that's where, he had the surgery for the diverticulitis. It's just, my big issue here is Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay deserve so much better. Kenny Omega is probably the ace of this freaking company. He's right up there. Hangman, like Ospreay honestly belongs in that discussion. Like he got Swerve, but it's just like this for Kenny Omega's return feud after he was taken out by his old buddies in the Elite. And then he returns after his longtime rival, Kazuchika Okada, wins the Continental Classic, presents him with the championship. They have this stare down. That has not been mentioned once. And immediately we're going right back to before all of the injury stuff and we're going back to the Don Callis family. And now we implement Will Ospreay, who's having his own issues with the Don Callis family. It would have been great if, somebody from the Don Callis family, a young guy, would have won a Continental Classic tournament who needed it more than Kazuchika. Oh, wait, that's right. Kyle Fletcher was in the tournament, but he lost in the semifinals. It's just none of this makes any sense. And frankly, if you're Will Ospreay or if you're Kenny Omega, why the hell are you not fighting the Death Riders right now? Why the hell is that not immediately in this thing? Why are we doing the soft landing thing to get back into this? Like this Don Callis stuff is old news. It's from 2 years ago. Why are we still doing this? So that's the biggest thing for me. Why the hell is Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega not even they're not even going back to the reasons they need to go after bigger picture things. This is beneath them at this point. Like Brian Cage and Lance Archer, they're big imposing dudes, but nobody gives a shit about them. They're background characters. So it's like, yeah, that segment last week that set up this match in Brisbane was awesome, but my problem with it is there's no direction to this. This is just very lazily booked. Again, goes back to my point off the top. They aren't trying. They're not trying. They're going through the motions. So yeah. Also, another thing that jumped out to me, they're still promoting this special or what was supposed to be a pay-per-view in Australia. That's 2 weeks from Saturday. They still can't even be bothered to put a start time on there or when it's going to air. It just has the date. So that's the state of things. Again, basically, my main thing is they don't care. They're not trying. Oh, and then this was the capper of one. This was this was terrible. What I'm about to talk about. Jeff Jarrett versus Claudio Castagnoli, and if Jeff Jarrett would have won this match, he would have gotten a world championship match. Okay, because we're still, giving 57-year-old Jeff Jarrett television time and putting him in a high profile opportunity to potentially be a world champion on the back half of his 50s. Like, listen, it's been a nice, like, kind of little side note that, Jeff Jarrett's kind of gotten over as a baby face after the whole Owen Hart thing. And it's like, listen, I got nothing personally against Jeff Jarrett. He's a legend in the business, but he doesn't deserve, this type of role at 57 years old. Like, if Vince McMahon, we gave Vince McMahon shit for rolling out 54-year-old Goldberg into world title matches. Yet AEW fans, you want to justify this? Really? Really? It's crap. But then it gets worse. And this was the problem with having this match in the first place, is like, okay, you got 57-year-old Jeff Jarrett in the ring with Claudio Castagnoli, one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. And the finish of this match just blew my mind. We have a distraction by Wheeler Yuta, who I don't understand the allure of that. And then Jon Moxley just comes in and hits the paradigm shift, his finisher. Claudio hits two neutralizers, and that's the end of the match. You heard that right. Claudio Castagnoli, former Ring of Honor champion, like a former United States champion in WWE, guy needed help to beat 57-year-old Jeff Jarrett. Why? Why is this happening? It benefited nobody. It helped nothing. And then MJF comes out, says, "I told you so," punches Jeff Jarrett in the face with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and that's the end of it. It's like none of this meant anything. Nobody cares about this. Why are we doing it? Again, they're going through the motions. They're not even trying. They literally are putting basic stuff out there that's not good. You have Ricochet beating AR Fox. This went on forever. I don't understand why this needed to be on television or why this needed to happen. Some people will come at me saying, yeah, well, Ricochet and AR Fox have, history with each other. It would have been great if you would have told me that, not in the match after it was booked. And by the way, this match was booked literally at like an hour and a half before the show. So that shows that you really care. So then you have Swerve Strickland come out. The Swerve Strickland Ricochet match has been built up for 3 weeks. I actually like that part of this. So that's actually at least some semblance of a story, but I don't think you needed to have a match like this and have it go on forever with the talent like AR Fox that really nobody has any reason to care or thinks that they're going to have a chance at beating Ricochet, who's got a big match next week. It's just, there's a lot of stuff here that just, it confuses me. Then this bizarre explanation from an online clip from Jon Moxley, where he kind of just basically says, "Hey, I'm trying to. It's not the world title isn't a prop." He explains how it's in a briefcase. It's not a prop. I am the embodiment of the world title, and I'm trying to make more of people in my image. It almost sounded like a babyface promo, like. And again, I've said it here on this segment when I've been referencing AEW and reviewing AEW Dynamite. I care about seeing the world title. You may think it's like some small material possession, or you may be trying to build it up as that. It matters to have that prize be shown on television. Putting it in a briefcase is not going to do anything. Some fans were interacting with me on the internet and basically saying, well, you know what? It would be great if, somebody beats him and it'll get a huge pop. I was like, by the time we get to that point, nobody's going to care because that world title's in the brief. You might as well not even know that Jon Moxley's the world champion. It means something. It may be a material possession, but it's a symbol. And when you're hiding that in a briefcase, that doesn't do anything. So the explanation was bizarre. Chris Jericho gets another New York minute. I don't know why we're doing stuff like that. Chris Jericho and Brian Keith, they're sucking the Outrunners into the Jericho Vortex. Good luck with that. Jay White faces Wheeler Yuta. Holy shit, this went forever. And can somebody in the comments, explain this to me? Listen, I think Wheeler Yuta, it was a nice story and a nice little arc a couple years ago when he, worked his way into the BCC. But he's become the proverbial whipping boy from the BCC to now in the Death Riders, where nobody gives a shit about him. And now he's grown his bangs out and it's over his eyes. It's emo or something like that. So this match goes 14 minutes. This goes 14 minutes. Jay White, who's challenged for he's been an IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. He needs 14 minutes to beat Wheeler Yuta. Are you kidding me? And then the Death Riders just beat the crap out of everybody. And then Rated FTR shows up. And then there's this Mid-South street fight, John Moxley. And I believe it's going to be John Moxley and Wheeler. Maybe it's John Moxley and Claudio. I can't remember. They're taking on FTR in the on Collision, a Mid-South street fight, whatever the hell that is. I guess it was inspired by the Midnight Express and Ricky Morton getting beaten up last week. We're using 67-year-old men to get heat. I don't like that. I just don't. This ain't it for Jay White, and I just the Death Riders. They're it's literally the death of AEW. So Mariah May cut a pretty decent promo, but gee, it would have been really nice if the Toni Storm reveal is she was acting as it was timeless Toni Storm playing Toni Storm. If that would have been revealed on this show and not on Collision when 250,000 people were watching it. Just a thought. That really didn't make any sense. It looks like the Guns are coming back. And then we get the main event, Mercedes Moné versus Yuka Sakazaki. This is a whole bunch of nothing. Mercedes Moné is a fine wrestler, but this wasn't one of her greatest performances. Yuka Sakazaki, she's kind of a cult favorite, but there was a bunch of botches in this match. It wasn't the greatest match, and like the finish, like it was Mercedes hitting her moneymaker, which is a crap looking finish, and she just wins, and then the show just ends. No Harley Cameron, even if that would have been kind of a flat ending because they've been hinting at that. No big return, no like other tease for the next feud for Mercedes Moné. Just a match, no heat to it because you could just want a 4-way on Collision, and we just move on. We just move on. This is the problem. And Mercedes Moné, week by week, she's not getting reactions. This is a year ago when she came in to AEW, it was heralded and promoted like it was a fucking CM Punk level debut. And since that point, a lot of this is her fault. A lot of this falls on Tony Khan and the people booking this shit. They have not given us any reason to care about Mercedes Moné, the character. They've made her super annoying. She can't cut a promo. Her wrestling is the draw to her. And even her wrestling has been kind of substandard in my eyes. One of my buddies on the internet said most of her good matches since she got to AEW have been in New Japan or in Stardom. That's it. Not a whole lot of them have been for the TBS championship. Yeah, the Statlander matches were good. And she had a decent match with Hikaru Shida, but the Britt Baker match was a disaster. That feud was a disaster. And it's just like this signing, we're coming up on almost a year to the day since it happened. It is a massive bust. Massive bust. And to tell me that you're going to main event your show and there's no angle coming off of it, there's no reason whatsoever for me to give a shred of a shit to come back and watch next week. You just end it with a match, you promote what's on Collision, you promote what's next week, you kind of do a cheap little rundown at the end, and you just go off the air. That's not how to do episodic television. That's not how you do it. And it's frustrating to watch this company continue to do it because, like I've said multiple times in this video, and I said it last week, I think I might have said 2 weeks ago, AEW doesn't care about you, the fan. They don't. They're not trying right now. Tony Khan and his creative team, they are not trying. Because if they were trying, there would have been something compelling at the end of that match, some sort of return or something like that. If they did care, they wouldn't have had 57-year-old Jeff Jarrett needing to be beaten by distraction. Because everybody knows that, hey, Jeff Jarrett at 57 years old as a world title contender is a bunch of bullshit. Hangman Adam Page was on this show for, you blinked and you didn't know he was on the show. It's amazing just the way that this show was booked. And on a weekly basis, it gets boring. It doesn't matter. Stuff doesn't flow from segment to segment. It's not good. So like I said, until AEW tries to show that they're trying, which they have not done for most of this year, what reason is there for anybody to care? I'm going to keep watching so I can rant and rave here on this channel so you guys can see what I have to say. Because clearly when I do these videos, you guys are viewing them and you're interacting with them. So it's of interest, and that's why I continue to do them. And I love professional wrestling. I really do. But it is really unfortunate to see, you know, just a lack of care from the people in charge. And they've literally become what WWE was 5 years ago, why they became in existence. That's what it is. So anyway, that's it for now off the top rope. I know I went a little long there. I said I was going to try and do these little reviews, but this whole show deserved its own video because this was a mess. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.